Just
Welcome,
no.
welcome, 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 welcome to the podcast of the night. This is me. I'm BA. This is Get Off the Damn Fence. I'm here with my two brothers. Calvin, say what's up to the family.
What's going on with y'all tonight?
Thank you. Larry, say what's up to the family. More than one sentence, please. No sentences
Good,
at all. Great, 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 great,
good
great.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing? All right.
I don't have the slides in front of me, so somebody else can take over now.
I mean, as you can tell, my good brother Larry's a little under the weather, so we're gonna be taking turns tonight. It's Wednesday night, so we're gonna do what we do, bring you the best of what happened this last week: NBA, NFL, WWE. We got a couple other topics as well, but we're gonna get started. You know where we always start this time of year, and then dead our hearts. Of course, the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, before we get into that, I did want to just tee it up a little bit. Um, we do have to talk about this. I did make a slide for this. Sorry, guys, I'm a little under the weather. But let's lead this off with Javante Davis and what's going on with him. Calvin, I know we Baltimoreans, we kind of support Tank and all of that, but just take that away. What's your thoughts on everything that's been happening with that whole situation?
This is my thing, and if y'all haven't heard, basically the Tank Jake Paul, right? It was Jake Paul.
Mhm.
Yes.
Jake Paul fight has been canceled. It was supposed to take place next Saturday,
Mhm.
next Friday, the 14th.
Okay.
And it's been canceled. So from what I heard, I haven't heard anything from Tank's perspective. All I heard was Jake Paul and what he put out and what he said about Tank and his unprofessionalism and it's hard to work with him and blah blah blah. And people have taken that to mean that Tank didn't want to basically throw the fight in his favor and for a big payday. Now like I said, I haven't heard anything from Tank. I haven't heard his perspective. I haven't heard anything from his side. So I can only go off of what I can find out. I'm not just going to just believe on Jake Paul's side that it was because of the relationship that he didn't want to work with him, but it was a big payday for Tank, and this was why he didn't fight Roach. This is why a lot of people said he had to. If you're not going to fight Roach and you're going to take this big payday, it's fine, but you're going to leave a stain on your legacy. But Tank has also talked about his love for boxing, how he wants to retire early and things like that. That's another reason why he probably want to take this payday. But Tank, you got to step up. You got to say something. You got to come out with your side of the story. I'm not saying what you did was right or wrong, but you at least got to come out. You can't have this man challenge your character. It's the fighter you are. Now we know you have legal problems. We know you had legal problems in the past. But professionally, from a boxing perspective, just say what happened. That's what I.
Well, I really think it's more to do with the promotion not wanting to promote him as a fighter due to the recent allegations in the court documents that came out, which expressed where he strangled the young lady,
Oh,
and
I didn't see
it's
that.
yes, it's a lot going on with
Okay.
Tank right now, and
Okay.
I'm very disappointed. I was talking to Rick, and I was like, "Look, man, I'm sorry, I just can't support him no longer, man. At some point, when we were growing up, we were very young, and Mike Tyson was knocking people out. And then when he went to jail with the whole Robin Givens thing, our mindset was a little different back then. We were kind of kids, so we were just wanting to see Mike fight. So when Mike got out and got back into the ring, everybody was just excited
Against
to see
Frank,
Mike get
whatever.
back in the ring. Whatever he did, he got over it. I mean, he served his time, whatever. But at this point, man, domestic violence and the things we know, we are way more educated as a society, and we should be way more sensitive to these things as a people. And Tank has been numerous times put himself in a
Yeah.
position where a woman is saying that he's putting his hands on them. And I think is irresponsible for us as a community, as a people, to just keep supporting someone. And Netflix put their foot down and said, we're not promoting this fight. He will not be. The promotion said they not promoting the fight. That's what Jake Paul was pissed off about. It cost him a lot of money. Remember, they had to move the fight to Miami because
Yeah.
of the
It
commission
was
wouldn't
Georgia.
sanction it
Yeah.
because of the size differences, things of that nature. A lot of money to be made. And then these allegations come out. And at some point, we got to stop saying these allegations. It's who he is. Like, call it what it is, man. This man is not a good guy. Justin, your thoughts?
Well, until we get to that point, it's still allegation. So we want to make sure that we are under the page,
Allegedly.
so we don't get jammed up in the process. You never know how petty people can be when it comes to this situation. So this is what it is. I just Googled it, just a quick Google search. This is all alleged, according to Google. The Jake Paul versus Javante Davis fight was canceled because of a civil lawsuit that was filed against Javante Davis, alleging multiple instances of domestic violence, including battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. Paul's company, Most Valuable Promotions (MVP), decided to cancel the event to navigate the situation responsibly. Lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed by Davis's ex-girlfriend, Courtney Roselle, if I mispronounced that, apologies, who alleges assault and other forms of abuse related to an incident on October 27th, 2025. So that was just about a week ago.
A week and a half ago.
So
new charges all the time, man.
That's what it is. So like I said, if this is found to be true and all those other things, sometimes the scapegoat, sometimes things happen, but he does have a history, man, and it's not seeming to get better. Other fighters have gone through similar stuff, and then they go through long stretches, if not even brought up again. So you can say that, quote unquote, they learned their lesson and so on and so forth. We have no idea what's going on behind closed doors, but when you have so many instances of it, and it continue, and it seems like it's getting worse. So if they're saying things like kidnapping, which is I'm holding you against your will, so you can't leave certain things, and then you're adding physical violence to it. Unfortunately, there's only one more step after that, and we're trying not to get to that point.
And this happened in public?
Don't know.
I was reading. I was going off of TMZ.
So they said it was in public.
They said it was at a place called Tootsie's. So they made it sound like it was in public. She was a cocktail waitress.
Maybe she messed up his drink, and maybe she put something in his drink.
Tootsie's is a famous spot. Like that's like
a place I don't know. This is bad, guys.
It's bad, man.
So he canceled the fight before this came out. For this news came out.
No, it was legitimately like what precipitated everything going down. Like this happened late last week.
Yeah, but I mean, he canceled the fight like late last week was what I meant. But this happened.
No, this happened, and then he canceled the fight because the word got out.
Okay, but it hadn't got out publicly. That's what I mean.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like we couldn't. Like in good faith, I think Netflix kind of pulled the plug. Let's be honest, because the fight was supposed to be broadcast on Netflix, and they just we can't do it. I mean, it's just not a good look. If it was his first time and his allegations, everybody go through that. If it was the second time, maybe third time, possibly. Yo, this is maybe his fourth or fifth time, and it's like at some point. Look, I know he's from Baltimore. Love my city. Love people who represent my city. Bruh, you need help. You need help. And I just wanted responsibly. I felt like we needed to start tonight, but I was alone. I didn't make a slide. I really wanted to. And I apologize.
What slide was you going to put? Him abusing him.
I was going to put the quotes.
What was you going to put? Cantina out there, like
half and half with a breakup.
I was going to put the quotes from the.
Understood.
But I appreciate you researching that. We can get on with the rest of the show now. I apologize for derailing the conversation, but let's start with the Baltimore Ravens. Quick out.
Man, last Thursday night primetime football down in Miami. Lamar Jackson made his return on the field for the Baltimore Ravens after a four-game absence, or 4 week absence, I should say. It was 3 weeks. To defeat the Miami Dolphins and give this Baltimore Ravens team some life in the playoff race. Just looking back at this game, Lamar really, in my opinion, took a step in just getting control of that offense. When you have that offense whole, when you have, Ricard back, when you have your receivers back, you have your O-line, whatever the resemblance of your O-line is, and you're all playing as one, that's what you expect from this offense. Ricard plays a huge part, not only in the pass protection, but in the run game. He was still rusty a little bit, got really pancaked one time. But, this is his first game of the year, and this was week 9. So, and this is the guy that led that blocked for Derrick Henry, who ran for 1,900 yards last year. This is your 6th old lineman. This is a guy who can catch passes out the backfield. This is your utility blanket, in which you did not have in the first 8 weeks of the season, and it kind of reflected in the run game and offense. So you can easily see how they were able to run the ball better. Derrick Henry was able to run the ball better. The play action was better. The man beating coverage with Mark Andrews, who had 2 tight ends, was better. So the offense played overall better, in my opinion. Defensively, you still have some things to work on. Obviously, there were a couple plays that got called back. This game could have been a lot closer than it was score-wise, but the key is the Baltimore Ravens won. They're 3-5. They're on the stretch of the season where you have winnable games, and they have to win these games. They want to win the division. I think that's the only way to make the playoffs this year. Justin, you're not a Ravens fan per se, but just what your opinions on last Thursday?
Well, it was hard not to be a Ravens fan this past Thursday. People in Miami were Ravens fans this past Thursday. They are tired of seeing their team look like this. Everyone's tired. Dan Marino's tired of seeing his team look like this. Shula is rolling over in his grave right now. I don't even know if he's passed away.
I thought he was still alive.
Quite sure, but he's close. So I mean, everybody is just they're just mad at this performance. And it's been a history of it so far this season. I think they just let go of their GM.
On
once again
Friday, I think.
But to me, I think he did his job. The talent's out there. It leaves a lot to be desired at times. What you about to say?
I was gonna say, it was interesting that GM and that coach was not the one that. No.
Oh, okay.
Was he? He was black. I was gonna say not the one that drafted.
He still is black, but go ahead.
Yeah, not one that drafted Tua. So just somebody else that got fired.
Yeah. So even with that being said, I don't know how homeboy, the head coach, still got a job. His team clearly played undisciplined, and I know people say, you can't help the players when they do certain things on the field. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because certain other coaches won't stand for it. Other coaches, when you're having players not where they're supposed to be, running too close together, making bonehead plays, penalties. I'm not now. The kick was extremely horrible, but other things was involved here when your team was just undisciplined, and that can go with everyone. What people were saying, he was too much of a player's coach. When you're playing the video games with your team, and when you're doing, you gotta separate yourself some kind of way. And unfortunately, he did not, and he's paying the price for it. They might just keep him there so they can keep losing games, so they can get a better draft pick. Hopefully, they got a first round draft pick this upcoming season. So it's just been a putrid performance, but that's enough about them. This was a perfect game for Lamar Jackson to come back to. You can tell he was a bit tentative, but once the game started to flow, you can tell Lamar was just being Lamar, dancing in the pocket, and he has this uncanny ability to make people miss the right time just to buy more time, whereas though he can step up in the pocket and just create plays. And he's definitely one of a kind when it comes to that. So shout out to Lamar Jackson. The team played well. Yeah, I mean, it could have been close. Hell, it could have been even worse. It could have been way more than what it was when it came to the Baltimore Ravens only putting up 28 points. 28 points is phenomenal today. So I'm not going to take anything away from yeah, it's not too much to be said. They straight kicked their ass. So there you go.
I said last week that I thought Lamar was coming back against Chicago, and I gave my ideas on what I thought the offense would look like. And that didn't happen, so we transferred it to the Miami game. Now, Miami had came off of that game where they did look pretty good against Atlanta the prior week, and we could say that was Kirk Cousins or whatever, but offensively, they did look like they clicked against the Atlanta defense, which hasn't been bad this year. So I thought that would be a good sign for what Miami would try to do to the Ravens, who had been struggling for most of the year on defense. But I thought they did a really good job not breaking, made some timely turnovers, good strip sack, Teddy Buchanan, and just some good plays by some of the unsung heroes of this young defense. Not always the stalwarts. I thought that Hamilton had some good splash plays here and there. Roquan had a good play on a screen pass on a big third down that really could have broke the game for Miami, but Roquan darted in there and made a great tackle on that. Overall, though, I think this comes down to Lamar Jackson and the Lamar Jackson effect. And he was named AFC Player of the Week. 218 total yards, 4 touchdowns. Wasn't a perfect game, but at the end of the day, that shows you just the type of offensive production this team can have. Lamar's at the helm opposed to a Cooper Rush. So I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, it's just the weapons he got. The team is loaded. And if Lamar isn't that important, you had Derrick Henry. You had all the receivers. You had the tight ends. You had all those people. And you weren't able to do those things without Lamar. So you still got to give that man credit. He's the straw that makes that drink stir. And I love your point about Pat Ricard. But like I said, when I was looking forward to him returning against the Bears, I thought that what will really be the biggest impact of Lamar returning will be the tight ends. You saw Mark Andrews, 2 touchdowns. Kohler, likely with a huge catch where Lamar extended the play, like he always mirroring his quarterback. Catch the ball, big explosive plays. Zay got back involved. I mean, what didn't you see outside of DeAndre Hopkins? But I was very happy with the performance. You get Derrick Henry 100 yards just to boost his confidence. He didn't need to be in there late in the game, but nobody got hurt, so I'm not mad. But at the end of the day, it just shows you why Lamar Jackson is who he is. Very impressed.
Yeah.
And schedule set up. But that Vikings game, looking a little bit more interesting now, ain't it? But Calvin, what you think?
Yeah. Look, especially when you think about who's their defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. The last time you saw him, he was in Miami on that, I guess it was a Thursday night when they just kept blitzing. They just kept zero blitzing them, and Ravens had no answer for that. And now you take him to Minnesota, you take him to a dome with a better defense, in my opinion, than he had in Miami a couple years ago. I think that was 2022. So that's what the Ravens need to be prepared for. But like you said, the schedule does kind of line up for them. You have the Browns, you have that quarterback situation. You have the Jets, who had a fire sale and arguably got rid of their best 2 defenders yesterday. Then you have the Bengals with Joe Flacco, and then you get into that Steelers portion. So the schedule lines up for them nice, and also you need help from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beat Indianapolis, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you need help from them as well. But if you can win your division games, you go 6-0, 5-1 in division, you have a very good chance of winning the division. Like I said, I think the only way that you make the playoffs in the AFC North is by winning the division. So. Justin, anything you want to add? You're on mute.
Right, and Brian Flores will be muted too if he decided to go with that zero blitz scheme this time around. This is not the same Lamar Jackson as it was.
This is better offensive coordinator.
That was against Greg Roman too. Yeah, that's what got Greg Roman fired.
That's not gonna fly. They'll just put 3 tight ends out there and just you can try to run it, and Lamar will find an open person. So that's not going to work at all. But you guys should be extremely confident moving forward. Your defense, y'all do have a somewhat of a bend but don't break type of formation, but it's better than just breaking, right? So that's somewhat of a positive. And statistically, y'all like top 10 within the last few weeks. So that's all y'all was probably asking for, right? Give me a above average defense, and hopefully Lamar can take us all the way. So I know y'all was probably asking for perfection because y'all Ravens fans, but at the end of the day, a top 10 defense and Lamar being Lamar, that's enough win to significantly go further into the playoffs. So I believe the Steelers are in within y'all crosshairs, and hopefully y'all can catch them.
Moving on to my Cowboys. This game hurt for a multitude of reasons on Monday night. And I don't even get into the trades and how I'm still on the fence about those, but Cowboys lose to the Cardinals Monday night 27-17. The game wasn't that close. Offensively, the Cowboys did nothing. Like, as much as I talk about this offense and I call them Cincinnati West, that offense was pathetic on Monday night, scoring only 10 points because they did score 7 points off the punt block early in the first half. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked like the top 5 draft pick he was last year. Trey McBride was getting anything he wanted to over the middle. Jacoby Brissett just sat back in the pocket and picked the defense apart. I mean, it's not easy to do with Dell's defense, and that caused them to make a couple moves yesterday and trade. Monday and trading for Logan Wilson. If Cincinnati's trying to get better, why you trade your best linebacker? A whole nother topic. And trading for Quentin Williams, who was also a topic here in Baltimore as well. The price was a little too high, in my opinion, that the Ravens would pay a 1 this year and a 2 next year. Now, I believe they traded Green Bay's 1, so it's not projected to be as high, of course. But I don't know if you make these moves and you're out of the playoff picture. Now, this sets you up nicely for next year, but you're paying premium prices for this year. The Logan Wilson deal, don't really have a problem with it because I think he was the best inside linebacker on the market. And I think for a defense that tries to get better, if you want cohesion and you need that leader, you go out and get him. But the Quentin Williams, just giving up a 1 and a 2, I mean, you had the option to have 2 draft picks this year. Probably would have been from 10 to late 20s because of the Green Bay pick. You could have had a multitude of options. Now, granted, I don't think any one of those will be as impactful as Quentin Williams next year at the 28 pick. So you do get that, but you're also taking on 2 years, I believe $40 million in salary. That's going to hit your salary cap as well. And just paying that premium price this year. Now, maybe you had to outbid somebody. I don't think it was Baltimore. Maybe you had to outbid someone else. But I don't know if you make this deal and it does not produce for you this year. You're paying premium prices for next year, which I don't agree with. But this is Jerry's way of kind of saying, I told you so. I'm making moves. We got Kenny Clark. We got Quentin Williams. We're improving his defense. You're 3-5-1. You're 3-5-1 after 9 weeks, and you're trying to improve this defense. So what can you the most what you can get to 10 wins at this point? Is that enough to win? Is that enough to make the playoffs in the NFC East? I'm not a fan of moves at this point. I see you trying to get better, but at this point, you're paying premium prices for a lost season. So that's just my opinion on the Cowboys. And not to mention they cost my fantasy game, so I'm just pissed all the way around with this game. And your thoughts, Justin?
What fantasy game do you speak of, sir?
We'll talk about that later.
Alrighty then. So when I look at this game, the first thing I go towards was Marvin Harrison Jr. He really looked like a pro a wide receiver, and
finally
I was trying to say what changed. Like I don't know whether it's Jacoby or little mouse show Kyler Murray.
His father came out and said something.
His father did come out and say that the offense was trash. He said that
the quarterback was trash.
It's unfamiliar. He's unfamiliar with what's going on. Well, I'm gonna take everything his father said with a grain of salt because his father played with Peyton Manning. So of course things are going to be different and ran differently. But I looked at Marvin Harrison Jr.'s his college quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud and my man Kyle. And he's still playing. I think he plays. I don't know. I'm not going to mess up who he's playing for now. But I was like, how tall are these dudes? They both were 6'3". Jacoby stands at 6'4". And I was like, does that make a difference? But then I remember Keyshawn Johnson saying that when you're expecting a ball to come out, pause, at a certain trajectory, that really does matter for certain receivers. And I'm not a receiver, so I'm gonna listen to a receiver that says that maybe sometimes the ball placement and the angle of said ball actually makes a big difference. And when you're not knowing where the ball is coming from because Kyler Murray is throwing the ball, and if he doesn't scramble out, so you can't see him when you're 20 yards down the field. You can't see where that ball is coming. You have to make a quick adjustment, and maybe Marvin can't make that quick adjustment. But when I say he looked totally different, he looked like a straight, like almost a beast as he should be. Like he looked like that. So I don't know, but there's a lot of talk around Arizona. They're getting a little tired of Kyler Murray, man. And I'm not saying Jacoby is the future. He's 32 years old. He's not.
Kyler Murray, not the future though. You see, they put him on IR.
That's what. Oh, they put him on IR.
They put him on IR today, but supposedly he was well enough to practice to play Monday. Yeah. They put him on IR 4 more weeks, so they starting Brissett.
So they was like, "Oh, but we gonna go with the high head right now."
No, they saying, "Look, we ain't gonna mess with the trade value. We want to trade you now."
So I mean, let that be known. Sometimes little stuff like that makes a difference. We wouldn't know, but when certain players say it, and like I said, he looks totally different, man. So I'm gonna go with it. So clearly the franchise thinks the same way. So that's one thing. This game, it It really wasn't close. And they had multiple chances, as in the Dallas Cowboys, to perform. And, that struggled. The team struggled so much that Jerry had to go out and make those transactions. And it's not.
He said that. Well, he said that was done that night.
Okay, well,
that's what he's. That was.
They need reinforcements ASAP. But it's not over. When you're 3 games behind,
it's over.
3.5 behind Philadelphia,
it's over.
You still got a shot. Like it's not over, but it's pretty
the division is over, but and the wild card is very tough in the NFC, so it is a long shot. But I still like the move. I think it's not just a move for this year; it's a move for the future. Quinnen Williams is 28 years old. That seems like it's old, but he's still got some good tread on them tires. Who knows what? Look, the problem we've been saying about Dallas the last 3-4 years is they can't stop the run. They've always had small pass rushers, going back to DeMarcus Lawrence and a Micah Parsons. They couldn't stop the run either. So them going out, getting a Kenny Clark with the Micah trade, now adding the Quinnen Williams. Now you got a good linebacker. I think Logan can stop the run. We've seen him do it at the first hand in Baltimore. Like, if anything, he was a bright spot on that team. I know people say, well, he got benched. He got benched because they wasn't going to pay him. And then he was on the trade block.
Trade him,
Yeah, he was on the trade block. So let's not conflict those two things. But I get it. People saying the season's over, so why would you make this move like this? I'm like, well, at the end of the day, you do want to show your fan base that you're not just resting on your laurels. You know what the problem are. Go out there, see if you can make some moves. It's fine. Like you say, we sit here as the Ravens thinking we still got a chance. We got the same amount of wins as the Dallas Cowboys right now. The difference is they in the AFC, they in the NFC, in the AFC, and we have our only hope is to win the division. I don't think they're catching the Eagles, so that's the problem. But anything can happen. They're going to run with that offense. You don't want to put a product on the field that doesn't show that, hey, Dak is doing all he can do. CD's doing all he can do. Now, Monday notwithstanding, because that offense was putrid. I had all of them on my ticket. None of them came through. Not a damn one. And then the tight end fumbles. The running back fumbles.
Well, he fumbled once. Yeah.
The running back. Yeah. Like, come on.
That last one killed me. Yeah.
I'm like, y'all ain't Cincinnati West. Cincinnati put points on the board, but they ain't scoring no 17. But anyway, it was just bad. But I like Jerry making the moves. I'm not giving him credit for beating his chest like he just won the Super Bowl or something like that. But at the end of the day, I always believe in known commodities over draft picks. That's just how I am, especially if you're not – it's no guarantee who you're going to be able to get in this draft with those players. Now, if you saying the Cowboys going to have a top 5 pick, if they'd have just – at the end of the year – they was going to be so sorry that they was going to be in the top 10, that's one thing. But I don't think that's what their aspirations are. I think they think they can actually win games. They're not tanking. So if you're not going to tank and you're going for it, go do what you got to do. And again, it's not about just this year. Dak is under contract. CD's under contract. You know what I mean? These guys is here for the long haul. Go out there. You gave up a generational talent and Micah Parsons. And I know everything's going to be compared to that, just like Luka's going to be compared in Dallas and Mavericks. The Mavericks do rolling out, it's going to be, well, Luka is doing this in LA. Whatever Micah Parsons does in Green Bay, you're going to turn to Dallas and see what y'all could have had. But at the end of the day, you got to move forward, retool, do what you can. That's just my thoughts on it. Next up,
Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts. I know this is one of the games that we picked last week, and Pittsburgh actually had a decent performance at the Green Bay game from a couple weeks ago. I think this game led to the immediate trades from the Indianapolis Colts picking up Sauce Gardner yesterday at the trade deadline. But Pittsburgh played a complete game, in my opinion. And what Indianapolis could not do was guard against the pass. Now I understand Indianapolis is I believe they're first in the AFC at this point, but they still have a lot of holes on defense and even some on offense. When Jonathan Taylor can't can't start that run game, Daniel Jones is not able to lead those comebacks. They play better from ahead, and that's what they were not able to do on Sunday. Pittsburgh was able to run the ball. Aaron Rodgers was back there, had time to throw against the Indianapolis Colts defense. They were able to get a victory. And it was, in my opinion, the score doesn't dictate how easily this game was won by Pittsburgh. It ended up being a 7-point game, but they had a garbage score late in the game. But Pittsburgh played well, in my opinion. This is the best game they played all season, most complete game, especially coming off the Green Bay game from a week ago. And they're just showing that, hey, they can still stick around. We kind of put a fork in them from that Green Bay game, but hey, they're still sticking around. So Pittsburgh is not dead yet. So this AFC North is still up for grabs, but Pittsburgh has that stranglehold right now. So what are your thoughts, Justin?
Daniel Jones, the old Daniel Jones showed up today.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to be worried about. I kind of joked about this last year when Sam Darnold came out. Like, there you go. Sam Darnold came out.
That was week 18.
That was towards the end of the
9.
season, right? So when the pressure came up, he was a shell of himself between the end of the season and to the playoffs. This situation, I think Daniel has earned enough, I guess, credit to give him a pass. I'm gonna give him a pass. JT definitely wasn't able to get off. He only had like 40-something yards. So clearly they need their MVP type candidate for me, offensive player of the year, in order to they need him to run. They need him to run. And I guess Pittsburgh, it's not a guess. Pittsburgh sold out. They sold out on the run. Ramsey, everybody, they was making plays. And they put the game back into Daniel Jones' hands, and Daniel Jones came out with 3 interceptions. So that's what happens. Pittsburgh wasn't necessarily highly successful running the ball. Aaron didn't have a spectacular game when it came to passing. He only had like 200 yards, but they did enough, and they scored when they needed to score. They scored a short yardage, and they got the W. So we were talking about this kind of all season. The defense of Steelers, they come and go, and they needed to show up today, Sunday, and they did. So I think that was the most important thing, is everybody was waiting for the defense to show up. They finally showed up against a primetime opponent.
I'm gonna say this, and I know you all were sitting around waiting for Daniel Jones to fail, and it's fine. It's fine. But if you watch that game, 5 turnovers, and they only lost by 7. I know you say, some of that. No, Pittsburgh should have put these people in the dirt. If Pittsburgh offensively was as good as people say, this should have been a blowout. But no, 5 turnovers, and they still came down to the end where the Colts had a chance. Daniel Jones was not great. He wasn't horrible. Some of those turnovers were fluky. You got to give the credit. In Pittsburgh, we've been there as Ravens fans. Once Renegades start playing, the terrible towers come out, and the momentum comes there. They had a couple blitzes. T.J. Watt stepped up. T.J. Watt and Highsmith, they were sensational in this game. Highsmith was all over the field. And I think their manhood was called into question after that Green Bay game last week. And I felt like Mike Tomlin, give him credit. I'll give Mike Tomlin credit for this one. No, I'm not high on Mike Tomlin as a coach, but he did have this team hungry and vicious and ready to hunt. And they attacked the football, man. This was a defensive win for the Steelers, who had not played good all year. The coaches ran into a buzzsaw. Like you said, Justin, they sold out for the run. I mean, they were run blitzing all day. And if they got to the quarterback on the way there, fine. But the offensive line caved. It just wasn't a good offensive line. Daniel Jones didn't even have time to reach his arm back. Like 5 turnovers, that's not going to happen every week.
3 by him.
A couple fumbles, the interception. Like, come on, man. Some of this stuff was fluky, and it turned the tide. You're not going to hold Jonathan Taylor in check like that every week. It was very convenient. Again, Colts will win some more games. They'll be fine. But this is a good win for the Steelers. Congratulations. But let's talk about that trade, Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round draft picks. I didn't realize they just signed him this offseason. They gave him that $4 $100 million extension, and then you send him on his way to Indianapolis. Now, I don't know if you can. Did they make that Godfather offer 2 first-round draft picks It seems like a lot before a team like the Jets who need to rebuild. Once again, you can't pass up on that offer. And Indianapolis gets arguably a top 5 corner in the league. They match him with Travarius Ward. I think he's still out with the concussion. But when you add, you probably have a top tandem at corner as well. He gets added to that defense that we've seen that has been up and down throughout the weeks. They just had the offense to outscore their opponents for the most part during the season. So it has the potential to be a game changer for Indianapolis. But one thing that I'll caution them against. You gave up 2 first-round draft picks. Are you going to re-sign Daniel Jones? Because you're giving up a draft pick next year. Daniel Jones is signed for 1 year. I'm assuming he's going to get that Baker Mayfield deal with another team from a Pittsburgh, maybe from even the Minnesota. So there will be suitors out here for his services. So you're going to have to keep your quarterback. Otherwise, you're just another team with a decent defense and a not so great offense. So it's a good move for this year. Does it put him over the top? Sauce had a kind of a down year, but when you're not thrown that often, and you kind of cut that field off, you're doing your job as a corner. So it is a great move for Indianapolis at this point. I think this is a move that's going to help their defense, especially in the division, especially with their aspirations of getting to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl this year. Your thoughts, Justin?
For the Colts, you boostering your team. This is what you're supposed to do. I like to argue that. I don't think people are running at Daniel Jones. I think a lot of people are still on the up. Here we go. See, I told you. I told what Larry was alluding to earlier. So I think GMs are feeling that same thing. So I think he has a strong possibility of re-signing with them come next year. So I mean, we'll see. Richardson, I don't think he's getting his spot back. So Sauce Gardner is the type of player that he definitely can help, but he was getting beat too. He was getting beat this year. I don't know. I don't know whether it was pressure. I haven't been watching it just like that defensively, but I've been seeing highlights of him getting toasted. So, when you playing on a preacher team, though, you don't. I don't care what they say. You're not giving your best effort. Not every single play. So I give. He don't earn a benefit though. He's still young, so no, he was getting toasted. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the Colts. They're in a decent division where there's no strong standout wide receivers other than Nico, BTJ in the same this year.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Who's the other team in that division? Jags, Colts. Houston. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they ain't got no world beaters there. Tennessee. Oh, they ain't got no world beaters over there. So he'll be a hurry against the division, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
This is a move for the Kansas Cities of the world. They looking at the playoffs. If you're going to face Rashee Rice and all those guys, you need corners. You just can't play zone. Mahomes will kill you in zone. He'll kill you in man. So you got to have somebody who at least cut off half the field in theory. So I think that's the move. They looking ahead, man. I think this team, they know they're going to have home field if they keep this up in that division, even though it's getting a little tighter if you're looking at it. But I think this is a good move, man. I like it. I really do.
I think y'all are high on Indianapolis. Maybe it's the Daniel Jones aspect, but I just need to. I think you'll go into the playoffs and he's the worst quarterback in the playoffs. I don't know how you can win 3 games or 2 games if they're number 1 seed to get to the Super Bowl like that. I just don't know if you can I don't know if you can outscore, but I understand that. But if it takes 15 plays to score a touchdown and your opponent scores in 5 or 6, they're a faster paced offense.
Have you been watching the Colts?
I'm talking about Daniel Jones coming back to reality. I'm talking about seeing 3 interceptions and 5 sacks again.
If Patrick Mahomes play like he did Sunday, if like we could say that about a lot of people in the AFC, like a lot of teams.
Yeah, that's what I said. They come down the benefit of the doubt. He's balling out this year. I mean, he might not be that spectacular, but I don't think he's going to be 3 interceptions like that week in week out either. So you know what I'm saying? You hate Daniel Jones for some reason. You hate these Colts.
You scared of
I'm scared of they're going to win the division. I don't think that's a question.
Who are these other AFC quarterbacks outside of the big 3 that you really worried about? Yeah, we know Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar, but other than that, I don't think nobody else put no fear in your heart in the AFC.
Okay.
That's just my thought. Maybe.
So you like them?
Herbert,
You like them over?
But you know Herbert gonna fold in the playoffs.
and
I didn't say
and
Herbert.
Bo Nix is unproven. We don't know what he's going to do in the playoffs.
You
Same
like
thing for Drake
them,
May.
Are you
Drake
taking them?
May.
You taking them over the field in the AFC?
I'm not saying that, but I'm
Okay.
just saying he gets the benefit of the doubt. He's won a playoff game.
I think
I've never seen Justin Herbert win anything.
Correct. Outside the big three, I think Daniel Jones can perform with everybody else. Well, everybody else don't have Jonathan Taylor on top of that.
Okay.
And that tight end, keep your eye on that young fella, boy. He's a dynamic weapon.
Y'all got high hopes in me. On to Cincinnati once again. This team just loves to put up these numbers on offense, but like I said, this defense is terrible, and the frustration is starting to boil over. If you saw the interviews with Jamar Chase and Chase Brown, just not really wanting to speak about the defense, but just really speaking about them. This team has put up 40 points in multiple games and lost the ball game. This team had the Chicago Bears down 42 to 40 with under a minute and a half left, and all they had to do was get the three. It's caused them to not score a touchdown, and they scored a touchdown within 3 or 4 plays. This Cincinnati defense has to be one of the worst defenses of all time, and then they trade one of their best players in linebacker Logan Wilson. I don't understand how Cincinnati can continue to come out and play each and every week knowing that they have to score X amount of points. It has to be frustrating for the offense, and at some point we're going to see some internal turmoil. I think we've started it. It has to stay inside that locker room, and it's starting to leak out to the press, which I have to talk about it. But it has to be frustrating for the Cincinnati offense week in and week out, knowing that if they don't have the ball last, there's potential they're going to lose the game no matter what they do on offense, no matter what they do throughout the entirety of the game, no matter what their quarterback does, putting up 400 yards passing with T. Higgins and with Jamar Chase, and it's still not enough. The frustration in Cincinnati has to be born over. What are your thoughts, Justin?
Some teams are finding ways to lose, and Cincinnati started to be one of them. Chase Brown, homeboy. Look, man. Had you had a perfect game, man, you can say anything you want to say. You can finish they must finish the game. They got to finish. You all right. Yeah. But you did not have a perfect game, sir. You left plays out there, scoring plays out there. So, sir, this is not the time for you. You are not the best running back. You're not even top 5. You barely scratching top 10, sir. This wasn't your time to say anything. I know you frustrated my guy, but this ain't it. Jamal has enough sense not to say anything, and this is Jamar Chase that we're talking about, and we can see the frustration. They might got a little sound bite of him walking through everything, but look, it's shameful. Yes, the defense is terrible. Yes, could they not make one play? That is correct. But shout out to Chicago of winning the game. Shout out to Chicago of putting up points. Shout out to Chicago of keep pushing. Shout out to 84. That tight end, he's a monster. So Mr. Loveland is a monster. So we're gonna give him that. But let me ask you a question, and Larry, I'm gonna swing it to you, pause. But both of you guys can answer. If Joe Flacco is performing this well with this offense. Hold on now.
I know where you're going with this.
Do you at least entertain of letting Joe Burrow go for multiple help on defense? That's what I'm saying. Clearly, this offensive thing is not working. It's not going to work. So either you work on your defense, but how do you work on your defense when you're paying everybody on offense? It's never going to work. So either you start letting pieces go, but do you let the main piece go when all you kind of need is some kind of gunslinger behind? Pause. Because Joe Flacco's put up 40 points a game.
Yeah, but I really don't know if Joe is a long-term answer. Whereas Joe Burrow.
No, I'm not saying long-term, as in you might can find someone else.
That's what I mean. Yeah, if you're telling me that you can trade Joe, get some draft picks, maybe there's a young quarterback coming out, you add him, go young, add some defensive stalwarts, I would do it. And I said this to somebody else. I was like, to me, if Joe's putting up these numbers with those receivers, that tells me Joe might be a little bit overrated. That's just me. Or I mean, because Flacco was never this guy.
Mm.
Let's not act like Flacco was this guy. Like those receivers are toys, and he just like picking whoever's open. And he can throw. We know he can throw, but he's a turnover machine typically. We've seen it in Cleveland. We saw it in Indianapolis. We've seen a sample size of Joe the last few years where he got a little rhythm going, but he
And
never
Joe is
had
damn near 40 years old.
numbers like this. No.
Joe is 40 years. I thought he was like 40.
Yeah, he's like they were Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. So no, I agree with you. I would entertain it, but I think they in love with Joe Burrow. They're not going to do that. I think T. Higgins might be a casualty. I know they signed him to a shorter deal. It wasn't like a long-term deal that they signed him to. Wasn't it like a 1 year or 2 year deal, Calvin?
No, he got 3 or 4 years, but it was less money than he could have gotten. Yeah.
Okay,
I thought
so
it was,
they
I
just
thought it was
dumb.
just 1 or 2.
Yeah, they
No,
just
he didn't get franchised. He didn't get franchised. I'll look it up.
No, it wasn't. I know they didn't
Yeah, they
franchise. They
wasn't
gave him
franchised.
like
I thought it was
the
like
money
short
was
deal with
very
a lot of money.
4 years,
suspect.
115.
So the money was just low, okay. But yeah, they got to outscore everybody. And to your point, Chase Brown, you running your mouth. What's your numbers, buddy? You know what I mean? The fact is, if you watch that game, Chicago should have blew y'all out. The game wasn't close. The game was over, and y'all went on a little miracle run, had to kick an onside kick, get the ball back, and then Joe threw a nice pass where T. Higgins scaled the sideline and got in the end zone. Let's not act like y'all was winning the whole game and executing at a high level.
Yeah. They didn't take the lead until the minute left.
That's what I mean. So how can you open your mouth like it was a miracle y'all even was that close? And the defense got y'all, the special teams got y'all the ball back. Like the defense was not great. I'm not saying you were, but at this, like we've probably heard all week, that's how fights start, man. That's how it goes down in the locker room, man. You can't be saying that kind of stuff. And I applaud Zach Taylor for getting up there behind the mic and saying that. It's
Called his ass
on
out.
guy like, bro, you left plays out there. Don't act like you was perfect. You ain't no 2,000-yard runner or nothing like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, chill out.
Didn't have 50 yards this week.
Chill out.
I do think it raises the question of how good is Joe Burrow really? If I can get a 40-year-old quarterback that's been in what's his name, a month, and he's already thrown for 400.
He walked right in and was throwing the first game.
Walked right in.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think it's Joe Burrow bad thing. Joe Burrow could be this good too. It's just with this team, we can get somebody else in.
Yeah. And I agree with that. So at some point, you can't pay everybody. Yeah. And you might have, and if you see that one side of your ball is that bad, at some point you owe it to your franchise to make a tough decision. And he is the most expensive piece. I agree with you on that. I mean, we've done it before. We've seen it happen.
Is it easier to trade Chase though? Because I feel like if you trade Burrow, you alienate Chase because that was his guy. That is his guy. Like that's part of the reason why
whoever throws him.
I agree with that.
How much can you get back for him? Is the question. Who's
going to bring
you ransom?
Yeah, you get more back with Burrow because he's a quarterback, in my opinion. But I mean, even going back to that draft where they took Chase over Penei Sewell and they need offensive line help, I just think that was because of Joe Burrow. So how many moves of these have they made because of Joe Burrow? They signed T. Higgins because of Joe Burrow. They've gone offensive heavy because that's what Joe Burrow wanted. So does trading him allow you to relinquish some of the power that he has? Or is it better just to trade, Chase and say, look, we have the system. We can make receivers. It's easy to make receivers, find a quarterback.
I could easily see a team like the Las Vegas Raiders who have no quarterback.
Giving up 4
first-round
picks.
Tom Brady and them, they would make a move like that.
Would the Jets do it?
Geno, and Geno will be having 3 to 4 touchdowns a game.
Easy. Yeah.
Would the Jets do it? They got 4 first rounds over the next 2 years. Or 5, something like that.
The Jets will give up part of their name for Joe Burrow.
Joe Cool City.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Joe Namath, the Joe Burrow.
Joe Namath, the Joe. Yeah.
The New York Joes. Like they would rename the team the New York Joes. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely an argument. It's definitely a topic of discussion, and we just got to follow that to the off season. In Detroit, look, Minnesota came. I didn't see this coming. JJ McCarthy came back, had a pretty good game and beating Detroit in division rivalry. And even this matchup, Detroit really didn't play well from the start. It really made JJ McCarthy look comfortable back there in the pocket for his first game back in, I believe, like 4 or 5 weeks. No Carson Wentz. JJ McCarthy was back, had a couple touchdowns. Aaron Jones came back as well, had 80 yards, less than 10 carries. They really got that run game going. Justin Jefferson was fairly quiet, but he did score 1 touchdown. But on the Lions end, they just really weren't spectacular on offense. They never got that run game going. I think they had less than 70 yards on the ground. Amon St. Brown went out with the injury. He had 9 catches. Samuel Porter were really, really doing a lot of damage in the Minnesota defense as well. But this was a really, really bad loss, in my opinion, for Detroit, who was a team that we had expected to contend in that division, contend with Philadelphia. This is a step back for them because they really should have run through the division at this point in the season. But Minnesota is dangerous, and Baltimore will see them this week, so can't take them lightly. What are your thoughts, Justin?
To me, this is more of like just one of those weird games, man. Like
division game.
Let's call it that, for lack of a better word. It's not like JJ and the Vikings was like going operating on all cylinders. It's not like they had a phenomenal offensive performance. It was pretty standard. Yeah. So like it wasn't like he was slicing and dicing. He made plays when he had to make plays. I think Detroit probably extremely overlooked him. I'll say that.
That's fair to say.
So you don't want to say that for NFL talent, but they wasn't expecting JJ to play like that. I'm quite sure they was like, no, we got it. Don't worry about it. We're Detroit, and we can just show up here and show up at home and just dominate. And it turns out that wasn't the case. So they need to go back. They need to get refocused, start running the ball again a little bit more, block a little bit better. And Jared Goff, you can't take 5 sacks. You got to keep moving as much as you can. And hopefully Amon-Ra can come back healthy. Hopefully it's not nothing too serious. But no, I just think I don't want to call this a one-off. Let's just call it divisional rivalry. They made plays when they needed to make plays, but I don't think that this Viking squad, I don't think this is this is their season type of thing. No, they're going to go back to what they were a few weeks ago, and all will be where it's at.
Well, I'm going to call it a great win for the Vikings. JJ McCarthy, really, he's still a rookie, basically. Like, he was out all last year, played a couple games, and then
5 games in.
I think this is like his first game of this season. So for him to come out there against the Lions of all people in Detroit, he got them off to a great start. I know you say his numbers weren't great, but he controlled the pace of that game. Go back and watch it. Aaron Jones was the unsung hero of this game. Aaron Jones, I haven't seen Aaron Jones have a good game since last year, maybe early on.
He was hurt too, though. So,
but he has not looked like this running the football. We know him to be a good receiver of the football out of the backfield, but it's been like more of a 1-2 punch. They featured him in that, especially in that first half. That man was sensational. Go back and watch it. And then some of the plays that JJ gave opportunities to his receivers for. We actually got a sighting from more than just Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison had a big, huge catch that blew the game. And that's when the Vikings defense was able to pin their ears back and just explode on that Lions offensive line, eating up that just phenomenal. Jared Goff had no time. They couldn't run the football. This was a great performance. And I couldn't say you can't even use the excuses, well, they were at home. No, they went to Detroit and beat them down. And even with Detroit, you know how they go for it on 4th down a lot. Nope, wasn't working. They just had give the Vikings game plan a great credit. And head coach, I always look. At the end of the day, I love Dan Campbell. I do. But sometimes you do got to know when to punt the football and when to let your defense go out there and try to pin somebody deep. When you putting yourself in a position where you're going for it on 4th down so much, I know that's your identity, but you got to pick your spots, especially when the momentum is not on your way and you see that the defense is firing on all cylinders. Stop putting your team in these short field situations where you're giving them the ball right back at midfield and short. They didn't have. You say they didn't have a lot of yards. They was getting set up for these short scoring drives because these fools turn the football over in these short fields. They had five sacks, multiple. It just not a good game overall. So good job in Minnesota. We'll see what they do against the Ravens this week. Yeah. But if that team shows up, it's going to be a tough day on Sunday. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, they got confidence going into Sunday. That's not what we wanted to see. And elsewhere in the NFC North, the Green Bay with the also bad performance at home against the Carolina Panthers. It looked even worse, in my opinion, than Detroit. Only putting up 13 points, even though and even only putting up 13 points against Carolina. And giving those 16 points, but they were turnover in this ball game. Jordan Love did not look like the MVP candidate I had pecked him for so long this year. The defense, while they did play well, they just weren't able to get them off the field. And one thing we can say is when we see this Carolina Panthers team, which does not have Bryce Young, they seem to play a little bit different. They seem to play a little more inspired. I don't know if that's just because they feel as though he's just not the leader. But even though he has been playing well, but not really know what to speak of that. But Carolina certainly surprised me on Sunday with their win at Green Bay, and even though they had control of this entire game for the most part. So, what are your thoughts, Justin?
Green Bay absolutely laid an egg. Like they was putrid. They suck.
They finished unless you're Minnesota.
They're too up and down, and that's the problem with the Green Bay. With a team like that, you need to be way more consistent than what they are. Bryce Young played. Bryce Young had 100-something yards, 102 yards. The person that they said, you know what, we're going to live and die with is Rico. Shout out to Rico. He has resurged his career. With Chuba coming back, I was like, you know what I'm saying? They tried the Curry thing, and then it was like, no, Rico's just that dude. So he just pretty much ran. He just kept running the ball. You know what I'm saying? So they had opportunities. Green Bay had plenty of opportunity to score. Like it wasn't like they lacked. Carolina wasn't going up and down the field like that. They was a couple plays here, punt, a couple plays there, but like it was just Green Bay playing putrid. They played into Carolina's hands. Jordan Love didn't play exceptionally well. You got to beat these teams. You got to beat the teams that's subpar like this, and Carolina is subpar at best. But it is what it is. Shout out to Rico Dow one last time for doing the double pump and got the flag. I'm a Key and Peele fan, so I automatically knew what he was talking about. So that was fun for them to bring it to the game. But just think about that. They had a time to do a double pump and get the penalty because they did not care or they was not worried about the Green Bay Packers. That's terrible.
I mean, if you've really been honest, the Panthers have been a tough out for most of the year. You know what I mean? Like we saw they did the Buffalo last week, notwithstanding. But like I say, I just think once that run game, we saw they did to Dallas a few weeks ago. See what they did to the Giants, and now in this game, I think the Panthers have a winning record, don't they? They like 4-3 or something like that. Crazy.
Yeah. They 5-4.
5-4. Like so, they've had some quality victories on the year, and I'm not laying my hat on. I don't think they're doing anything, but that's a tough out, man. You got to come prepared. And guys, this was in Green Bay. That is an indictment on the Green Bay Packers. And I thought Matt LaFleur, honestly, he lost this game. This was the same type of thing I just talked about in Minnesota. This was arrogance. This was cockiness. The Packers did not punt the ball the entire game. They did not punt the ball. And you scored 13 points and lost. That means you either turned the ball over or you turned the ball over on downs. Like, they went for it on fourth down. I don't know how many times. It felt like every time I looked up, they're going for it again because they had so much arrogance and cockiness. You call it confidence, whatever, you at home. The fans were booing them in Green Bay. Like, that doesn't happen. That's one of the most loyal fan bases there is. It just was a cocky game plan by Matt LaFleur. I get Tucker Kraft got hurt later in the game. That game was, look, I know it's 3 points right here, but they scored like a garbage, like at the end. And Panthers did have to kick a game winner to win the game as time expired. So they did make it competitive, and Green Bay might even took the lead. But the point was when it was time to buckle down and get the ball in the end zone, the Packers didn't have the weapons. Look, Romeo Doubs, great little player. Don't get me wrong. They don't have a number one guy that I can be like, hey, this is who we need to shut down. This is the guy that makes it. Tucker Kraft was that guy.
You could argue it was Kraft, yeah.
And now that Kraft, that's what I mean. And now that Kraft was neutralized and gone, your running back situation. Look, I thought Josh Jacobs started the year pretty strong, but I haven't been impressed. I have not been impressed with their running scheme. Typically, with a running back like that, he's a power back, A gap, B gap type of stuff. Do a little off tackle here and there. They have no fluctuation in the offensive line scheming, no zone runs, nothing, no variation. So that allows the defense to just pin their ears back, hit the A and B gap, and just get home. How many times did you see him just get stuffed in the backfield because they just had no creativity in the run game? There's no creativity. So if I can go downhill, I know you come in A or B, nothing off tackle. Like, that's an indictment, man. I'm sorry. Like, you got Bakhtiari, you got these guys who are veterans in this league. I thought it was just a pathetic performance overall. I didn't bet this game because, remember, even on this program last week, I said, I don't know, man. Panthers are tough out. But I just felt this was going to be a little tighter than necessary, and they just didn't show up. That's a shame on them because that division now, you got the Bears, you got the Vikings. You just gave them hope. You just gave them hope.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sunday also we had Jacksonville and Vegas Raiders. This was an exciting game because it came down to a point where you're going forward in overtime, going for a 2-point conversion to win the game at home in Vegas.
Did you agree with that?
No, because you're home. Vegas was at home. If Vegas was on the road, then I would went for it. But they weren't home.
But the play was I forget who the player was, but somebody said, he home. I don't think he was throwing it to the dude that was wide open. Like you gotta it gotta be like a
the guy had jumped an hour before you saw him jump. Why would you throw it right to him? Like, that was just a dumb decision. That's the only reason why I put this game on the slide, because I just want to talk about the end.
I didn't understand them going away from the run so much though. Brock Bowers had a phenomenal game, but I didn't understand them going away from the run.
Brock Bowers for coming back. Thank you, Brock.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But so you wouldn't have went for it, Calvin. You would have went
if I was Vegas, no.
If I was Vegas, let's go, man. Pete Carroll, all that stuff, man. Let's go.
But I'm home. Like I got the advantage, and I'm home. That's why I'm like,
it wasn't much time left.
We got the momentum too, man. We gonna.
They had the momentum. I would have
went for it.
They did score.
I don't think.
No. I'm saying they had momentum because they scored. I didn't think they had the momentum.
They scored.
Well, both teams scored. Jacksonville had just scored, and then the Raiders went down, and
you don't want to tie
it up. You don't want to tie. You don't want to tie. I get it.
You already suck. You know what I mean?
The other thing I didn't like, they were double teaming Bowers, and you didn't have the guy they traded, Jacoby Myers. You didn't have him, so your options were limited, and you really don't.
And somebody was still wide open.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah. And shout out to the D lineman to getting his hands in there. Shout out to him. But Brock Bowers was sensational, and the Jags win again. The Jags is charging, man. I mean,
5-3. Look, that loss. Who did they lose to at home? I think it was Seattle a couple weeks ago.
That got killed,
and that was at home. And Seattle came to you at 1 o'clock, and that's looking like a terrible loss. Even though Seattle's a good team, but just to have them come to you at 1 o'clock on a Sunday.
You lost to the better team.
After you beat Kansas City at home.
Next up,
probably the game of the day on Sunday, Buffalo and Kansas City. Josh Allen's regular season record against regular season play against Patrick Mahomes once again stands out. There was nothing really spectacular in this matchup. Josh Allen really pretty pedestrian numbers. James Cook was the workhorse as he always is. And Dalton Kincaid, the tight end for Buffalo, really showed up in this matchup. On the other side, Patrick Mahomes' offense, look, I feel like they're forcing the ball to Rashee Rice a lot. They're trying to get him involved through whatever means, at least early, and it's kind of taken away from some of the other offensive weapons, like Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown, who both had, I think they had like 5 catches combined. When you're forcing the ball to Rashee Rice, he had 6 catches. But even still, this Kansas City defense, which I thought would have played better against Buffalo, didn't really step up, and Buffalo really controlled this game throughout the entire day, which is what they did last year in the regular season as well. So it makes you question what's going on in the postseason with these two. But once again, Buffalo comes away with the win this matchup, and they kind of reestablish themselves as one of the leaders in the AFC, even though they're not leading their division. And it's really going on the radar that they're in second place to the New England Patriots. But what are your thoughts on this game, Justin?
You know, I was definitely pulling for the Chiefs, but when you say they're force feeding Rashee Rice, I mean, he ain't had that many catches either. But he definitely has some targets. I mean, they even gave it to him. I think they gave it out the backfield or something like that too.
Yeah,
like it's just
he gets one in the game. Yeah, he gets touches.
I'm gonna need them to be a little bit more creative, and I didn't think I'd be able to say this about an Andy Reid's offense, but at times it's a little vanilla. Patrick Mahomes, he was forcing a lot of balls. Patrick didn't play his best game whatsoever. Shout out to the Buffalo's defense. You know, they definitely was providing pressure. You know, but when you miss 20, well, I think he was 15 for 34 or something like that. Like that's putrid, man. And Patrick has got to play better. And that's just the bottom line. So it doesn't matter what the defense does. You just got to play better. You can't put the ball in certain situations, and that's what he did. But I take nothing away from Buffalo. Buffalo plays them very well in the regular season. But I think that I don't want to say this for sure, but this might be their Super Bowl. If they don't do anything in the postseason, then you got to start looking at these matchups and saying they're getting so geared up for the regular season that they might lose something in the playoffs. And that's the way Kansas City's been beating them in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But no, I'll take nothing away. Josh Allen played damn near perfect football. And James Cook, shout out to man, they had a game plan and they went with it. So it's all Buffalo, and I know it was only a 7-point victory, but it was more than that. They thoroughly kicked Kansas City's asses.
Well, if this was their Super Bowl, shit, they play their asses off every year in this game. And look, the Ravens don't beat them at all in the regular season or in the postseason. So at least take one of them from them. I mean, at least show you can do it. I give Buffalo credit. There were 2 units that have been much maligned: the Pittsburgh defense and the Buffalo defense. A lot of people saying these 2 defensive units wouldn't do nothing. And on Sunday, Pittsburgh stepped up against Indy, and Buffalo stepped up against Kansas City. Held Patrick Mahomes to under 50% completion percentage, first time in his career. I thought they were hounding him. I thought he was befuddled. I thought he looked confused. He took some hits that I didn't think he was going to get up from one of them hits. I was shocked he even got up. And this was after they lost. What's his name? One of their big defensive players played well against the Ravens early in the season. Talking about Buffalo.
Ed Oliver.
Yeah, Ed Oliver wasn't even out there. They were flying to the ball. I thought they were tackling well. They didn't let Rashee Rice take over any games. Kelsey had some good plays here and there. But for the most part, they contained everything. And like you say, offensively, they struck quick and they struck fast. Kincaid got involved early. And James Cook, man, he's on my fantasy team, so I watch him pretty closely. That man is one of the most consistent running backs in the NFL. I think it's that Josh Allen factor of you don't know who's going to keep the ball.
It's that Josh Allen goal line factor.
Go for that, yeah. He's just like, he's an automatic touchdown once you get down there.
Take most of those carries down there.
It's just like, I think New England is great what they're doing. And we're going to talk about them when we preview next week. But at the end of the day, who do I have more confidence in? I still got more confidence in Buffalo, just from what I've seen. And they have no fear of Kansas City. And even in the playoffs, the games are close. It's not like they blowouts. So they have no fear of Kansas City. And defensively, if they have to go right now, the playoffs will start today. Kansas City would not be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that division with the Chargers and the Broncos, those teams don't look like they're going anywhere. So you dug yourself a hole. It's going to be very interesting to see if they're able to dig themselves out. Very interesting to see.
That Bills-Patriots game was in New York, right? The one that they lost earlier this year.
Pats beat them in New York. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Monday night, we have Seattle and Washington. I think we all picked this game. We all picked Seattle, but that offense came out humming. We really haven't talked a lot about Sam Darnold in Seattle, but he's kind of picked up where he left off the first 15, 16 weeks in Minnesota. JSN had a phenomenal game.
MVP.
And on the other side, we did see the injury to JD5. Looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the year with that dislocated elbow, which did not look good on. But why was he even out there late? I don't know if you have that. If you bring that up, there was no Terry. There was no Terry McLaurin. There was Debo was out there. But why was he in there late? This game got out of hand pretty quickly. I mean, I think it was 28 to 7, 31 to 7 at halftime. It got out of hand pretty quickly, and you're still trying to push late with JD5 and gets hurt in that fourth quarter. I think you can reasonably say the Washington Commanders season is pretty much over because you don't have the starting quarterback. Terry McLaurin has his hamstring injury. He's been dealing with most of the season. At this point, you're not gonna. It's pretty unlikely they're gonna make the playoffs, but you put your franchise quarterback at harm for what reason at that point? That's the question I really have.
The answer is because it's Washington. That's your answer. Washington, I seen some chart. I mean, all the injuries they had.
Down at one side of the field. Yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, my God. Shout out to RG3 and them boys too. Shout out to Lordy Nada too. It's just it's a shameful thing that the fact that he was out there. They wasn't coming back like that. Come on, man. Like this is not who just did that? The Denver
Broncos.
The vibe of that game was totally different than the vibe of this game. Totally different. So that's the JD Washington side. We're gonna focus on Seattle. Man, hey, talking about getting dusting yourself off, preparing for a game. They look like they was extremely prepared on all cylinders. They did nothing wrong, man. They did nothing wrong except for give Jackson a goddamn touchdown, in which I'm just starting to get into the gambling game, and I damn sure had him for a touchdown, and that messed up my whole thing. So I said, you gonna give out all these touchdowns, you can't give him one. I felt some kind of way, but Sam Darnold, man, he played his ass off, man. That he made that one interception look like it didn't even happen, man. And that's just. They just was better. They was prepared better. I know this. I know it was talking around town, especially Baltimore Ravens. They was like, man, that should be our coach. I know it. But let him do his thing in Seattle, and we see what's happening, man. Shout out to Seattle, man. They look real good.
I really think Dan Quinn owned it. He said, I should have took him out. It's on me. I wasn't monitoring it, but as a head coach, man, that is on you. I get it. I'm glad you owned it, but you got to eat that, buddy, because at that point of the game, it was no reason he needed to be out there. But the bigger thing, like I say, Seattle, I've been on this team all year. I think, man, Sam Darnold has played phenomenal, but I'm going to give the credit to that defense, man. Mike McDonald, look, man, he was our defensive coordinator here in Baltimore, and we were very happy with the job he was able to do. And yes, he's been missed. Don't get me wrong. Or has come on to be no, he hasn't. But Mike McDonald was sensational, man, and you're seeing the effect of what good coaching can do. And I'm rooting for the man. But Sam Darnold, man, give him credit. The man had Justin Jefferson last year, and then a lot of people said, well, they traded DK Metcalf. He's going to have Jackson Smith by himself. We know he was able to do it at Ohio State. Is he going to be able to translate into a number one receiver? And he's answered that call. That man is on pace for 2,000 yards right now. Sensational.
And who was the rookie? The rookie receiver? Thornton? Am I not mistaken?
Thornton is in Kansas City.
No, it's keep continue talking. I'll find it out.
Well, it seemed like they game plan for Jackson, as in to keep him out the end zone. And I'm not even talking about my parlay no more. They game plan for him somewhat, and he's just that good. And they forgot about home. They forgot about like he was open like way too much. And they Washington needs to go ahead on and just they might need to punt on the season at this point. My bad to cut you off. I just like the home. I just wanted to give homeboy some love. I forgot his name though.
Seattle made a trade. I think they went and got
Rashid
Shaheed
from
New
New
Orleans.
Orleans.
Yeah, they got Rashid Shaheed. Man, golly, man, shout out to
add some more, man. They going for it. So shout out to them. Kenneth Walker staying healthy. I like the team, man, looking solid. But anyway,
Tory Horton.
There you go, Horton.
Yeah, Thornton is in Kansas City.
Correct.
Another game I wanted to make sure that we talked about was the New England Patriots and Atlanta Falcons because Penix did come back. It was a tight game. Very close. But New England, man, they look for real, man. They do look for real. I would feel better about them if Ramondre Stevenson was more consistent as a number one running back. They have more of a committee going up there right now. But Stephon Diggs, hey man. Hey, maybe his impact is still being felt. The ripple effects. Shout out to him.
He got too many kids.
Hey, he got to work for them.
Got to produce.
He's still working.
Yeah, but that was the only game other than we didn't put out there that I wanted to make sure we touch on because C.J. Stroud did get hurt in that Denver game, and it was a close game.
That was a bad concussion. That was a bad late hit. So.
Yeah.
So here we have the standings up to week 9. I know we did our re-picks last week, but just kind of looking at the AFC, we got New England leading the AFC East, tied with Indianapolis for the overall best record in the AFC. This is where I'll come to look at the AFC. You're going to probably get, like I said, between the AFC and the AFC North, you're probably going to get one team coming out of that division because you have a New England and a Buffalo, both with over 6 wins. You have Indianapolis and Jacksonville, both with 5 and 7 wins respectively. And then you have the AFC West with 3 teams with over 5 wins. And I think one thing we have to start to consider is Kansas City in danger of missing the playoffs. We talk about them being an 8 seed if the playoffs started today, but they've lost already to Denver and the Chargers. So they're already a game and a half, extra half a game back in that division. And when you have a Buffalo and the New England and you have an Indianapolis, or will we get 3 teams out of the AFC West? Like, I think that's something we had to start considering. But Justin, your thoughts on the AFC and just where the standings are at the roughly halfway point of the season? It's crazy to think already.
I think you're right. I think we're going to get I'm not worried about Kansas City. They got enough cachet built in, and you still got like another 8 games left. Like I'm not, and I know I'm probably out 3 of us. I've definitely been going for KC. They got a bye week if I'm not mistaken, and they're gonna hit the ground running, and we're gonna see what's up with them.
The bye week is this week, I think.
Yeah. So they got all their pieces. There's no more excuses for them, but they still got to play every team again. So they gotta see each other one more time. So that's the beauty of the division. AFC East, I'm not worried about. I think the top 2 teams are going to make it clearly. AFC North, it's going to be a dogfight. We see who wins out of them, out of Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I don't think Cincy can keep up with them. But hey, they can go on a little win streak too. So it's a lot of individual games that's going to be played within that division to see what's up. In the AFC South, the AFC South is so finicky, man. Because Jacksonville's sitting there 1 game behind the Colts. It was like, how? Like it just don't even seem right. Is it? Yeah, they 9 and 8, 9 games, 8 games. It's crazy to fathom that. But at the end of the day, I think Indy pulls away. I think Jacksonville's gonna lose a few more games. So I think only one team is gonna come out that division. And then that opens the door for 3 teams for the AFC West.
It's the crazy thing I didn't think about before you go, Larry. Jacksonville beat Kansas City. So they got the head-to-head tiebreaker. So if they finish tied, that goes to Jacksonville. So that's something else I didn't even think about.
And Buffalo has a tiebreaker. So if that has any implication because of they'll be the wild card possibly. But I think that division is going to shake itself out. The one that's very interesting to me is the AFC West. And that's because Denver has quietly – man, at home especially, they seem to be unbeatable. I think they won like 5 in a row at home. The Chargers, I'm still not 100% sold. I'm really not. But at the end of the day, they did beat Kansas City already. It gives them one leg up. It'll be interesting to watch that AFC North. You only get one team out of there. Just look at the Pittsburgh schedule, opposed to the Baltimore schedule, and that tells you where that thing's going to hang out. But I didn't see them beating Indy last week, so stranger things have happened. Be interesting. Over in the NFC, I honestly have said that Philly's the best team, and I think I got them all the way to the Super Bowl, and I'm not changing from that. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I think they played the best. But Seattle is right there, dog. Seattle is dangerous, man. And I think that people, because Washington wasn't at full strength, you won't truly appreciate that game the other night because they didn't have their litany of weapons. So it will take Seattle having to play that Rams game, which is coming up. That's going to be a showdown, buddy. They both sitting at 6-2. The San Francisco 49ers at 6-3 with Mac Jones at quarterback is really the head scratcher to me. Because
the injuries. Yeah.
You got three teams from the North. I mean, all four teams from the North right there neck and neck. The West got 3. Man, it's just wild right now. So who's going to make it? All I know is Philly's making it. That's all I know. I don't know about Green Bay. That tie is going to come back to play. That tie is going to come back to play with the Green Bay Packers. That's going to be interesting. That's my 2 cents on it. And then the South, I mean, look, it is what it is. Tampa got that locked up. Let's stop playing.
Look, I mean, I think Tampa needs to be worried about Carolina, who's right there nipping at their heels. But besides that, look, I look at the NFC West and NFC North, and you see these teams kind of jumbled up. The only thing that I think eventually the injuries come back and bite San Francisco. They've lost their best 2 defenders on their defense in Fred Warner and Bosa. You're still playing Matt Jones, and I think they're 1-1 in the division. I think 1-2. I know they so. I think the division kind of shakes itself out that way. I think Seattle and the Rams make it. You get Green Bay and Detroit, and then you have Chicago, Carolina, and San Francisco kind of fighting for that last playoff spot. But who knows? If Jacoby Brissett goes on a good run with Arizona and they win a couple games in the division, can I see them being back in there as well? Wouldn't surprise me as well. But I think the NFC North and the NFC West will get multiple teams. Just a matter of who gets that last seed, and it comes down to who's playing well between Chicago, Minnesota, San Francisco.
Righty then. The NFC South is Tampa Bay to take it all the way.
Carolina's still 5-4.
And no one cares. People in Carolina don't care. Philadelphia, shout out to Philadelphia. I think they're definitely going to take the NFC East. Like you said, now the problems is the North and the West. As long as Christian McCaffrey doesn't get hurt, San Francisco is still a threat. That's really the thing that's the catalyst throughout this whole entire them 6 wins. It's him being healthy, and it's him actually dominating on catching the ball, running the ball. Like he's not getting the love that he's actually going under the radar. And he's been performing at a high level. I should know because he's on my fantasy team. And he's keeping me afloat week in, week out. But no, the NFC West is tough. I think AZ is done. I think Arizona's done. But those 3 teams is tough, man. And in the North, they always have a tough division. Shout out to Chicago for staying competitive as long as they are. But I think they start to lose more games. I think Minnesota loses more games. So I think the top 2 teams are going to withstand the test of the season. And then you have maybe 3 teams out the West. That's what I think is going to play out.
And this is your current playoff picture as it will be seeded. Of course, we talked about earlier, there is no Kansas City in this playoff picture. They would be the 8 seed. You have in the AFC, you have the Colts with the overall number 1 seed, followed by the New England Patriots leading the AFC East instead of the Buffalo Bills, followed by the the Denver Broncos with the 3 seed, and your Pittsburgh Steelers rounding out your 4 division leaders. I know we talked about our reseeding last year, but how much or how do you think this picture changes before the end of the year? Do we see all 7 of these teams still in the playoffs in the AFC? Do you think Kansas City creeps its way in? Like who would you, if you had to, you can say, I think this is going to be the playoff picture, or I think this is how it's going to change. What would be your decision, or how would you think it's going to change, at least right now in the AFC?
I think Pittsburgh's out, Baltimore in. I'm taking Jacksonville out, putting Kansas City in. And I think that's the group.
Justin?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, it's just too many losses. So it's only gonna be one team out of the AFC North. So yeah, I think Jacksonville is the odd man out there. I don't like the Chargers though. It's just something about me and the Chargers. I just don't have faith in them. But they make it to the playoffs though. But no, it'll be Jacksonville. They're out of here.
Okay. And I'll just go into the NFC. We have Philadelphia's the overall number 1 seed. Tampa Bay is the 2 seed. Seattle leading the NFC West surprisingly, and Green Bay is number 4 seed. Now, if I had to think that anything's going to change between now and the end of the season, like I said, I don't see San Francisco making the playoffs. I think the injury just come up at a point they'll just come up and bite them, and they won't be able to continue their hot streak of their own. So I would say that Chicago, I think, has the best chance of making the playoffs. I don't think the NFC East gets 2 teams, but all the injuries with Washington and New York and Dallas just having that slow start. The South only gets 1 team. Carolina's going to be a good feel-good story, but at some point you got to win games outside. You have to win games against better opponents. I don't think they can continuously do that down the stretch, especially as it gets clutch, and they need to win these games to make the playoffs. So I think the playoff season in the NFC primarily will stay the same. I just don't see San Francisco making it. The injuries are just too much, especially on defense.
I have more faith in Minnesota than I would Chicago, to be honest with you, because Chicago's defense isn't good.
So who's out?
Again, if I had to pick one, it would be San Francisco. But I'm not 100% confident that San Francisco can't keep this up. I'm not. You know what I mean? I haven't looked at the latest schedule. I don't know how soft it is. I need to take a look at that. But honestly, this isn't a bad group, to be honest with you.
All right, so yeah, he took some of my thunder. I like I said before, I think West gets 3 teams in, and I think the North gets 2 teams in. And that's exactly how it's played out right now. So right now, you're looking at your playoff picture, other than the fact that Tampa Bay takes over the number 1 overall seed. So that's the only difference that we have here, and we're gonna see what it is. So I think that's a very good snapshot of what could potentially be in a real life postseason.
Y'all got to win 2 more than Philadelphia because y'all lost them head to head, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Philadelphia's gonna lose some more games.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We're not
getting into our picks from last week. Everything kind of balances itself out. Once everything balances itself out, I did not realize. Well, you got so you got knocked one off of me and Justin as well because the Chiefs didn't win. The Bills won.
Oh, my bad. Oh
shit.
So so you didn't gain the game on it was nice. Guys. It was a nice thought. It was a nice thought.
That's my fault. I'll take that off. So y'all tied with me.
No. He's tied with you. I'm still one ahead of both of you.
I will fix
y'all both took I believe y'all both took the Texans. I took the Broncos, and I didn't realize both of y'all took we all took the Patriots. Never mind. Y'all took the Colts. That's what it was. I took the Steelers. That's what it was. Yeah. Okay.
My bad. So increase that number by 1 on
on both hours. Yeah.
See, so we tied at 26.
We're tied, and Justin's 6 games.
20. You're in the 20s. You're in the 20s, buddy. You're in the 20s.
I give some applause for that after 8 weeks.
I will update this next week accordingly. My mistake.
I was going to let it go, but I was like, I don't want him to have extra win. I'll take that away from me. So for this week, getting into week 10, we're going to start off with the Ravens and the Vikings. Minnesota is at home. The Ravens are, I think they were 3.5 point favorites last time I looked. I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think they are the better team. I'm still, J.J. McCarthy, like you said, still rookie quarterback. this is his 5th or 6th start, I believe, over the last 2 years. He missed all last season. I think this offense is running off, especially the running game is getting back into form. The tight ends are playing well. Lamar had made a comment about how his hammy is basically feeling well and he can run if necessary. And I just don't think this Minnesota offense is experienced enough and can move the ball. Now, granted, they have Justin Jefferson. They have arguably the best receiver in the league. He can get open. He can put up numbers against everyone else. I just don't know if they can do anything else and be able to match the Baltimore Ravens offense. So I'm going to go with the Ravens.
I would also go with the Ravens. I just think that this is their their time. I think they're feeling well. I think everything's operating on for them all cylinders as much as it can be. Um, and I know that Lamar knows who he's up against. I know that he knows it. I know that he knows who and what to expect. And if he don't, God damn it, sometimes y'all do get bit in your ass for this. Sometimes y'all do too much, man, and y'all don't play y'all game. I don't think this is the week. I don't think this is the week that happens. I think I'll stay home. I think Lamar runs when he can. I think Derrick Henry has a great game, and maybe how some of the wide receivers gets a little bit more love. Shout out to D Hop this upcoming game, but I'm definitely going with the Ravens.
I'm gonna call it right now. The Ravens need to run screen passes. Screen passes. Don't just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry and expect him to break tackles. The way this Minnesota defense is, they attack downhill, beat some blitzer beaters. You got to get Zay in space. I'm going to Ravens, but yeah, screen passes. Remember that.
Next game up, New England and Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's coming off their bye week.
It's tough.
I'm gonna go with Tampa. Off the bye week, I have more faith in them. I'm learning to come around New England. I just think that they will experience growing pains. And this being one of the games, Drake May's been playing amazing football for his second year. It's just he hasn't had a rough patch, and I think that this New England defense has some vulnerabilities, and we saw it last week against Atlanta, especially in the passing game. So if we can, I don't know if Godwin and the running back, I'm blanking his name, Lucky Urban playing this week, but they still have explosive weapons on the outside. So I'm gonna go with Tampa.
I'm going with the New England Patriots on the road. I just think they're a more balanced team. I don't know what Tampa's looking like with the injuries coming off of them. The last time I seen them, they looked like a team in disarray with a lot of injury issues. So I just really need to see it before I believe it. So right now, I think the Patriots just playing more well-rounded football. I'm going with the Pats.
I'm going with Tampa Bay Buccaneers because we're coming off a bye. We do fairly well off of buys. I know Todd Balls is going to have some blitzes dialed up for Drake, and Drake's going to have to beat. It's going to be Drake May. He's going to have to win this game for the Patriots. Not necessarily, of course, quarterbacks are clearly important every week in, week out, but he's going to have to make some plays. He's going to have to beat the blitz from us in order to get the victory for the Patriots. And I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's going to succumb to the pressure. Tampa Bay.
Next game up, Philadelphia and Green Bay. I think this is a Monday night game. This game looked a lot better a week ago prior to Green Bay laying the egg against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go with Philadelphia coming off the bye week. This is a game they just played last year. I think it was first week of the season in Brazil. And this was Saquon really had a coming out party. I think Philadelphia, a week off, they kind of righted some of the wrongs internally that they had. Then they get back to run the ball. And I think it's a Saquon game, and that's what's the main reason Philadelphia won this ball game.
Justin.
And because it's a Saquon game, I think that Green Bay is going to bounce back and stop the run and bring Philadelphia back to what they were a few weeks ago. I don't think they're going to have no high-powered offense, not against Green Bay, not this week. So yeah, let's go with Jordan Love for the win, man.
Well, I think this is going to be a Jalen Hurts game, and I think he's coming off of a bye. I think
Jalen Hurts run game. I got
you. I think he'll do whatever needs to be done to get a victory, tush pushes and all. I think they will take advantage of that pass rush, that lack of run defense that the Green Bay Packers represent. And if you thought Carolina had a field day with them, I think we'll have a pretty good day with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts combination. And I think the Eagles will bounce back off the bye with a good victory, heading on to 7-2. And I believe that Jordan Love will continue not to look like the MVP that Calvin predicted him to be. Next up.
Arizona and Seattle. This will be the beginning or the next week with the Jacoby Brissett starting at quarterback. I understand that they are playing better with Jacoby Brissett, but this defense in Seattle is playing phenomenal. The Seattle's at home. Seattle's the better offense. Seattle has the better weapons on offense. I'm gonna go with Seattle.
You know, Seattle. I said a lot for you said same. I said a lot for Marvin Harrison. You know, I made a quarterback comparison and all. I did some research behind that. And I just wish that they was playing somebody else this week so I can actually go for them. Seattle's gonna take this one.
Yeah. Next game up, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here you go. Let's go.
The LA Chargers. I'm gonna let you go first, Justin. Let me think about this one, man. I'm gonna let you go first.
I am going to go. I'm going with the Steelers. I believe they're riding on a high right now. Very good performance in their previous game. I might go against the Chargers, Danny, every goddamn week. I just have no faith in them, and eventually they're going to lose more games. And I think the Steelers continue to keep some distance between them and the Ravens. They win this week.
I think the Chargers are the Steelers' worst nightmare because the Chargers don't like to run the ball, and the Steelers want to play run defense coming downhill. And so what's going to happen is Justin Herbert going to sit back there and might throw it 40 times, might throw for 400 yards. The Chargers win this game. I think this is their worst nightmare. You would think with those pass rushes, oh, yeah, they just want to rush the passer. Watch what happens. This is going to be bad. And Justin Herbert is the number one scrambling quarterback in the NFL. He gets more yards running the football than any quarterback in the league. He's going to run all over the Steelers defense. I'm going with the Chargers.
Yeah, this is a Sunday night football game, and it's in LA. I think this is going to be a good Ladd McConkey game, so I'm going to go with the Chargers. This Pittsburgh defense has been up and down, like we talked about earlier, all season long. You just don't know what you're going to get from week to week. They played a good game last week against Indianapolis, but we get from them this week. And the offense, the only thing that concerns me is the run game for the Chargers. You know, Omarion Hampton is still out, so you're going to rely on Vito. But if you don't utilize him enough, if you're going to play this West Coast short passes to McConkey and allow him get into space, then I can see them win this ball game. So I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Keenan Allen, folks. Keenan Allen.
Next game up, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans. At this point, I don't think C.J. Stroud will pass concussion protocol to play this week. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville. If be no other reason that they have the better quarterback, better than Davis Mills. I do think it's going to be the lowest scoring game of the weekend, so I wouldn't be surprised they're under, I think, 40-45 total. I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Yeah, when I picked this game, I wasn't 100% sure.
He's been officially ruled out.
Yeah, so it's not even worthy of being on the screen, but I think we all taking Jacksonville, right?
See, y'all have no faith in Houston and what they can do, and that's y'all problem first and foremost. No, I can't even. I can't continue this. Jacksonville.
Okay. I was waiting for the argument. The Las Vegas Raiders and Denver Broncos. Look, the Las Vegas Raiders had a good game last week, a decent game last week against Jacksonville. They're not playing Jacksonville this week. They're playing Denver, who's been playing phenomenal on offense, especially late in the second half. This is where Bo Nix and that offense takes over. I got Denver, and I don't think this is really a question. You know, I think we're all going to agree with that. Okay, go ahead and take Vegas. Go ahead and take your boy Geno. I'll let you take it.
I'll go with the Broncos.
Okay. Justin.
I'll go with the Raiders. No joke.
You need to pick up a game. I understand.
And it's not even that. I just think that sometimes Denver can be had. And I believe the fact that because they don't have no wide out threat, one of them boys is going to have to see Brock Bowers. And I will take Brock Bowers, even against Patrick Surtain Jr., in a short yardage situation. So,
he's still out.
Yeah, Surtain not playing.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, that's why I thought about it. I'm not going to lie. I thought about it. I was like, That offense look a
Go
little
ahead,
deadly.
turn the page. Now you said what you said. Now turn the page.
No, I didn't.
I'm done. Y'all can take it. I will give y'all points too. Next game up, the LA Rams and San Francisco 49ers. This was a great matchup. I believe they played on Thursday night, like earlier in the season, and with San Francisco, maybe one of the first game Matt Jones started, and they beat the LA Rams in LA. It's kind of a back and forth game, but it was pretty high scoring for a Thursday night. I'm going with the Rams. They get their revenge in San Francisco. This game is really important to them because they've already lost to San Francisco in the division, and they're only a game. San Francisco being only a game behind the LA Rams. I think they need this victory, and they're going to win in San Francisco. So I got LA. Justin,
I think the Rams start to pull away just a little bit. And this is the game that they play. Puka came back, dominated as soon as he touched the goddamn ground. And I think he continues that in San Francisco. I think it's just going to be a little bit too much for Christian and his crew to make up for the lack of injuries that they're having. So with the abundance of injuries they're having. So yeah, let's go.
And Kyron Williams fresh off that new extension as well. A couple of days ago. So yeah.
But Puka got hurt in that game, so I'm not sure what his status is for this.
He got hurt in that game for real?
Yeah, he left the game with an injury.
I thought it was they just didn't bring him back because they were up so much. Because that was,
but he was hurt. He was legitimately hurt. So I don't know what the status is, but anyway, I'm going to Rams, so it doesn't really matter. But 49ers, they're not no easy out, so I wouldn't be surprised if it come down to the wire. Final game.
Lastly, we have the Atlanta Falcons and Indianapolis Colts. I believe this is the Berlin game that's somewhere overseas. It's the first game Sunday morning. Look, I took the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Indianapolis Colts last week. I just thought that Pittsburgh would be able to kind of stifle that offense a little bit. We saw the true Daniel Jones. Atlanta doesn't have a defense like that. Atlanta may be able to put up some points, but they won't be able to stop Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to go with the Colts. Probably first time this year. Justin?
What a way to break Sauce Gardner in if he does play the first game. Because Drake London came off with 3 touchdowns. He pretty much kept Atlanta on his back. And they still had issues. So they will have issues against the Colts. I think Jonathan Taylor has a bounce back game. Pause.
Yeah.
Definitely going to run over Atlanta.
Definitely difference maker. Yeah.
100%. I'm with y'all. I like what I think after a loss, you'll see some angry guys come out there and play some hard-nosed football. And I think Jonathan Taylor gets in the end zone at least twice on Sunday because he was averaging like 3 touchdowns a game before last week. So messed up my parlay. But good. He gets in that end zone a couple times on Sunday. So put that down on your sheet for this weekend.
If Kirk Cousins was playing, would you take Atlanta?
I would think about it. I would think about it.
Yeah, whatever. Are there any other matchups that kind of excite you guys? Looking at the schedule, the Detroit-Washington matchup looked good until JD5 went out.
Yeah.
But look, Buffalo-Miami. Miami has nothing to play for. And they got trounced by Buffalo earlier in the season. Buffalo needs to not let their foot off the gas. You beat Kansas City last week, ride that momentum into Miami this week. Don't take your foot off the gas. You're not leading your division. You don't have a home playoff game in the first round. You got to keep rolling. You've already had your bye. You got to keep rolling. So I want to see Buffalo really put their foot on Miami's necks if they want to be a legitimate contender. So that's the only other game I'm watching. What about you, Justin?
I guess the only other game here is the well, it's 2 games actually, but I mean the Giants and the Bears. This is the type of game that the Bears just needs to win. You gotta keep pace with the other teams in your division, and you gotta try to make some leeway up in your division. So the Giants are sitting there with still a good defense. The Jackson Dart can still make plays, so they can't sleep, I should say, on the Giants, and we'll see what happens with that.
One other thing I want to mention, that Cleveland Jets game is interesting because both of those teams are tanking. Both of those teams are tanking, and Cleveland has Jacksonville's pick. and Jacksonville's playing well, so it's not going to be as good as they want to. But this is going to be like who's trying to lose this game even more.
How about this?
Be interesting.
How about this? Do we see Shador
this season or this game?
If Dylan does terrible in this game, I guess the next game on out.
Yeah. It's that time. You need to know what you got before the end of the year, so you can how you play in your draft, especially with them having 2 first-round draft picks. Now it gets interesting. We can talk about this later, depending on how many quarterbacks come out, because most of the quarterbacks projected to be first-round quarterbacks are underclassed with another year eligibility. So the quarterback class can be bad and then great in 27. So that kind of plays the point of that, but you really don't know until they can opt in or opt out of the draft or in the draft beginning of January. So, but that's just another nugget to keep in mind. Fantasy wise this week, disappointing from my perspective. That last fumble by Jake Ferguson ended my hopes. Only needed 3.5 points. Besides the fact that the offense had a terrible game, including even with Trey McBride scoring and having I think 6 receptions, Dak had a terrible game. What made it even worse was that I had Sam Laporte on my bench. I had Jordan Love on my bench, who both of them combined would have won the ball game. But you know what? Sometimes you got to give people hope before you snatch it away. So he's still behind me. It's cool.
This thing about fantasy is the player's going to do what the players do. The manager's job is to put them in the lineup and actually put a lineup together that can actually win. So I think all those things you just spoke on were your fault. So it could have won.
Shit.
There you go. Justin, you came out the victor in that matchup, didn't you? What happened?
You haven't beaten me yet this year, so you're doing a lot of talking with somebody who hasn't beaten me.
It's called okay. You start Christian McCaffrey and you get out the way, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, that was luck. We had Christian McCaffrey and was it Drake London?
Drake London.
Yeah.
I beat the guy who was in first place, so now I'm in second place because of a stupid tie that these two guys had. These Moore brothers were tied, got this stupid tie that's going to mess up the standings all year, because how can you overcome that? Like, I just got to keep winning. But I should be in first place, legit, but it is what it is. Yeah, shocker. I won again. News at 6. But Brock Bowers, thank you, buddy. You came back strong. Thank you for the help. James Cook, sensational.
Thank you, Brock Bowers and James Cook.
Hey, that's why I draft people. You know what I mean? That's why I go out and get Josh Allen. That's why I go out and get these players.
Josh Allen did nothing. I didn't mention his name. But
he wasn't bad. He got me numbers, got me enough to win. Hold on, let's go back and look at their score. The game wasn't close. You know what I mean? That's how you win. 319. Anybody else? Reggie had 374.
Jesus, 374.
Jesus. Who did
I don't know. He had Flacco.
Flacco went to work.
Well, shit, he had to have more than fucking Flacco.
I know he had Flacco. I don't remember who else he had, but I remember seeing Flacco because I was like, I wonder who had Flacco.
I had a serviceable day, and I had guys on bye. My wide receiver Luka was on bye. I had a lot of people who wasn't in the lineup and still had good production. So it was a good day overall.
He only had Flacco and Denver defense that put on 47. That was it. So
that's wild. Justin, who was you say you had Christian McCaffrey
and Drake?
Ooh. So in Calvin, you just didn't have anything because your team sucks. But
they beat you though.
Good job, week 1. Good job.
You don't want to see you in the playoffs. I understand.
I had James Cook came up big. Brock Bowers, Jalen Warren. Shout out to him for Pittsburgh. Seattle defense had a good day. My defensive players all put up damn near 20. So that helped because I had Breece Hall on bye, Devontae Smith on bye, Mbuka, whatever his name, down in Tampa Bay on bye.
Yo, the disrespect.
It is what it is. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Basketball.
NBA for this week. This is week 2 of the league. Players of the week last week for Western Conference, Shai Gilgeous and the 8-0 Oklahoma City Thunder, averaging almost 29, 5-7 for this last week. I didn't realize they were 8-0. I just happened to look at the standings. And Tyrese Maxey for your Philadelphia 76ers minus or in the limited Joel Embiid, averaging 34, 10-5, which is crazy. Him and VJ Epps coming in that backcourt, like I said, they could be the best backcourt in the league for in a couple of years to come. Western Conference standings so far, Oklahoma City Thunder 8-0. The Spurs are playing tonight. They're playing the Lakers, who are right behind each other in Western Conference standings. And Wemby just damn near dunked on Bronny.
That dunk was crazy, man.
Yeah. It's gonna be playing for a while.
Like, how did he? He's just too tall, man.
Why did he jump? Why did he jump?
No reason. He could have just
Why did he jump? Why did he jump?
Yeah, this is bad.
And one thing I just calling on the Bronny note, Kai and Anthony looked really good last night for Syracuse coming off the bench.
Yeah, his mother looked good in the stands too. Good.
Man, so we got the Eastern Conference, and we have Chicago, still number one in that division. Shout out to all them, but you know what?
You can't even name nobody on Chicago.
Giddey.
Yeah, Josh Giddey.
Okay. Continue with the statement. You're trying to on that.
Look, you know who's the MVP far as individual performance thus far for me. Shai's great. He's probably going to win. But that boy Giannis is on a tear. He's on a tear. I mean, game winner the other night. I mean, just averaging like 36 a game. Just doing his thing out there, rebounding, assists. Man, he just looks like he's back in best player in the world type of form. Shout out to Giannis, man. 5-3. Not really worried about that so much. But his individual play, sensational.
Two things for me. I think Philadelphia should really think about letting go of Joel Embiid.
He's not
with the backcourt they have now. You got McClain coming back, which he would have been rookie of the year last year. They play two different games, man. They got to play the slow pace, wait for Joel to come out the court, give him the ball, and all these other things. Tyrese is, he's ready now. He's ready to be a number one now. And I think Joel is starting to hold him back, and he's not the best teammate to begin with.
How do you get out of that contract? I mean, I understand he's on the minutes restriction, so the floor is opened up more for Max, especially with him being not out there.
I'm 100% certain that Joel would get traded somewhere, and all of a sudden, magically, he would start to play a little better. I honestly feel that if he go to the right team, he would play like he played in the Olympics. All of a sudden, he'll have
put him in Indiana. They need a center.
No, I'm talking about he go to a contender. Watch, you'll see Joel come alive. Send him
I personally go ahead.
Houston. Nah,
they're coming around. They starting Ahmed Thompson is starting to do his thing at the point guard position. Yeah. He's it's going to take some time, but he's becoming comfortable at that position. And I mean, and he's starting to score too. I mean, 27 points I think he had the other night. Like, he's starting to take his own place on that team, which is needed. But I have a personal problem with Jaylen Brown, Boston Celtics. Homeboy, if you don't get your hair situation straight, you letting the die off on everybody, man. That's nasty work, man.
I thought he fixed it.
Nah, man, he just did it tonight. It's
Washington.
Yeah, man, it's nasty work, man. That's nasty, man. You can't be doing that. As a barber, I feel offended looking at that.
You got to do like one man, what's his name? Ayton did for Los Angeles. Just go gold or something. You know what I mean? If you're gonna dye it, just dye it. Like, go.
It makes it worse. His dye running.
Yes, man.
Yeah, that's nasty work.
I would like Calvin to speak to the state of the Orlando Magic. What's your thoughts?
They're not playing well right now, and Bane has been frustrating to watch, and especially frustrating in his play. They're just not playing well right now. I mean, look, it's still young in the season. I think they will get better. I don't think Miami will stay ahead of them. I don't think Detroit will stay ahead of them. I don't think Philadelphia will stay ahead of them. It's still young, but they're not playing well. They're still trying to get accustomed to each other. And like I said, Desmond Bane's not been playing well, and Powell has.
Do you think Bane, that trade, which I said was terrible, is turning out to be not the best fit with that particular team?
I think he has a problem with not being the second option and his shots being limited. Because even when he was in Memphis and it was Jaren Jackson would kind of he was still the second option behind Ja. And he would get those kind of penetrating and Ja would kick it out to him, and he kind of moved the offense from there. So he's still trying to get acclimated to his new role, but it's still early. It's still early. So.
I'm just asking. I've been watching. I'm like,
it's still early.
Not in happy. All right. So I know we getting late into the night, so I don't want to belabor the point.
Real quick, I just happened to see Dame is taking like practice shots, like legit practice shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this Achilles injury is supposed to be like a definite a year. It's going to be like maybe 6 months.
Tatum is playing like 2-2 or something.
This is ridiculous.
But they said I know with both of them, it's like with the speed in which they had the surgery had something to do with it. Like I don't know.
What was that? April, May?
No. Like from injury to surgery. Like Tatum had surgery that night.
I'm looking for the timeline. When did they both got hurt within the short
about April, May, yeah.
His Tatum was May, whatchamacallit was April, yeah. Because Tyrese was June. So it was like back months.
So that's 6 months. Right?
They talk about like
in November.
Yeah, 6-7 months.
Yeah, 5 to 11. That's 6. Yeah, I mean, practice shots. It is what it is. I mean,
like pushing off and like
but it's aggressive. Like he's pushing off. It wasn't like like a 3-point shootout. No, he was doing like little mini workout, pushing, sliding off, then shooting. I'm like, oh God.
I mean, happiness has to say something for he happy to be home. So
I do wonder about that. Well, I guess Achilles, you've seen people take free throws and stuff like that with it messed up, but maybe it's the running you just can't run right now.
He's like cutting off of like he's doing in and outs and pushing off of it. You saw the video, it's kind of like
I got
all right, like you warming up for the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it kind of looked like.
Real quick before we get out of here, CM Punk World Heavyweight Champion, your thoughts? No shenanigans, no interference. Just the champion, and they starting a new day in WWE. Justin.
Hey man, it's not necessarily CM Punk. I don't like him throwing water at Jay. I'll say that. That was a bad look. But Jay, man, I'm done with Jay. I said this on We Talk On Back Sundays at 3:00. I said, yo, like he's done, man. Like if it wasn't for the Yeet, like he's a tag team guy. He's tag me in. I'm gonna throw some spots out, yeet a few times, and we're gonna get this dub. Like that's who he is, and it sucks to see him wrestle. He's out of shape most of the time. He looks bad. CM Punk ain't look that much better, but god damn, how you mess up a net breaker? It was that match was bad. So but I'm not mad at CM Punk. I like the fact that I get to hear CM Punk talk more. I believe he's one of the best mic guys out there, so he can do what he naturally does. So I'm cool with it for now.
Yeah, under circumstances, I'm cool with it. Like Justin said, even the addition to the Vision. I don't even know if they call it the Vision on Monday night. Yeah, but I think CM Punk was right for the role once Seth went down. But like you said, I'm disappointed in Jay. Like from WrestleMania till now, there has been no growth in your matches, in my opinion. And if you could have gotten even 5% better, you would be in a better place now, even potentially a 2-time champion. So I feel like they're teetering with him going back to tag teams because he's still so popular. But then when they see the in-ring product, they say we got to put him back there. But then we see what he does individually, merchandise and just exciting the crowd. So we'll see. But maybe a heel turn or something. But even that would just kind of could deter his crowd. I don't know. But I'm happy for CM Punk, and so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and before we get out of here, I thought Jay winning that match and going heel, I think it's everything best for her career. And shout out to her.
First so Bianca's back soon?
Yeah. First person of Jamaican descent to win a world title in WWE. So that's a hell of a stat.
First woman.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say it's woman.
Who's the man?
Big E was the man.
Oh, I didn't know he was Jamaican. Interesting.
Yeah, Jamaican descent. Yeah, Big E.
Cool. Shout out to him and great stuff. I thought it was a good weekend overall. That's all I had to add to that. Sorry about that, Calvin.
Nah, no good. You good. That's all we got for this week.
Yep, that's it. 11 o'clock.
One thing I did want to mention, we could get into it next week. The first college football playoff came out yesterday.
All right, I was trying to be nice,
but that's all I got.
What was your thoughts on the?
Only quick thought I had. I don't like. I know they're redoing it so that 4 to 5 Power 5. You're in the top 4. I think Alabama's a little too high. That's the only thing I got, and I think Georgia's a little too high. But besides that, I'm okay with Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Indiana. I think Indiana should be number 1 just based on some of their victories in the Big Ten. That's all I got.
I agree. I agree with Indiana. I am mad that Miami has to have the quarterback that they have, and as a result of him being absolutely garbage, we're no longer in the damn top rankings to go to the playoffs. So there's that.
It's a travesty that Texas's name is even on the screen, but I'm gonna leave that alone. They look like trash for most of the year, but money talks. It is what it is. Indiana, man. Give them all the credit in the world, man. That's an example of a program that traditionally is built for basketball, who has done a hell of a job shaping themselves into a football team over the last 3 years. If you've been really tracking them back, maybe even 4 years, because I remember when Maryland first went to the Big Ten, and I was looking at Indiana was a sneaky team. They was always like one of those teams where you'd be like, Indiana do give people fits, and then their recruiting just got better and better and better, and now for them to be ranked as high as they are, that's a shout out and that's an inspiration. And hopefully Maryland is taking some notes. Y'all are in the Big Ten now. Lockley, get some guys in there who actually can stop the run. You getting quarterbacks with some good talent. You put points on the board,
and he wants to stay.
Y'all can't stop nobody. So you look at Indiana as a model to go invest in the defensive side. As long as I've been following Maryland, they can get these receivers, they can get these playmakers and stuff like that. Do something on the defensive side of the football. It's ridiculous, man.
Shout out to Texas A&M too, man. They balling out this year too, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, man, they continue to be wide receiver U. Good God.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. All right.
Yeah. That's it. Oh, one slow week. I do want to talk about the proposed $20 million cap NIL, but that's a slow week because I don't know how that's. Yeah. How you gonna spread it around football and basketball with 100 players?
Good job, Kevin. Thank you. You did a great job hosting this week, Calvin. Thank you.
Man. I'm sorry, folks. I ain't had the stamina. I thank you, Calvin, for coming through tonight and really holding it down. Appreciate you, brother.
That's all we got for tonight. Any last thoughts, Justin?
We had no more thoughts.
Just getting hooked.
Yes.
Speeding time.
For myself, for Larry, for Justin. We catch y'all next week. Y'all have a good one.